Hey everybody, welcome back to Video Game Mess. So, taking a fun and exciting video for you guys this morning. That is because the Spyro the Dragon static recompilation is out, going by the name of OpenPete. If you're ever wondering why that is the name, originally before Spyro became Spyro in purple, he was a green dragon named Pete, which honestly would have been a very bad choice because Pete the Dragon does not have the same impact as something like Spyro the Dragon, where we're going to jump directly in, get some gameplay going here, and have a fun time with it. Because I will say right now in my testing, this thing does absolutely everything you need it to do. I only had one issue the entirety of the playthrough, and because this is basically the first release, there's definitely expected to be a couple kind of growing pains here and there before it gets 100% buttoned up, but I would say it's about 99.99% buttoned up at this point in time, pun very much intended for the frame rate of 99 to 100 that we're persisting in here, and that is the default frame rate cap. You can go up from there, you can dial it back if you so want to. It really gives you ultimate control on how to play around with near to every setting, and honestly people have been stoked for a Spyro the Dragon Recomp. It is one of those classic PlayStation 1 games, and I almost ran this game on Thursday, not Friday morning, but I decided that Grand Theft Auto Vice City Stories was kind of just maybe more what I was into on that particular day, just because I do love some Grand Theft Auto and maybe play that more now than something like Spyro the Dragon. But fans of this game are going to have an absolutely massive amount of fun, and this is made by Tice Corp, and it's definitely showing that it is a very viable option for Spyro the Dragon in the future. Before I get too far involved though, do me a huge favor, go down below, hit like and subscribe, and ring that notification bell, definitely helps us out. And if you feel so inclined and want to support the channel, I got a Patreon link down below as well. But right off the top, the number one benefit of something like OpenPete has got to be the increased frame rate. Just getting up to 100 plus frames per second makes this game feel faster and fluid and more responsive than honestly it ever did before. And of course you can go widescreen as you saw in the intro, you can go ultra wide as well. Now in some cutscenes, don't be surprised if you see a little bit of culling around the edges to the left and right hand side of the screen, versus here where the engine is completely opened up and culling isn't an issue. On the actual website for OpenPete, which I will leave a link for in the description below, they talk about the fact that that's still the current reality, and basically what happens is on a PlayStation 1 console and in the original game, anything that would be slightly near to the screen but not on the screen either wasn't rendered or was called out to save on processing power. So that's something here in OpenPete only in cutscenes. You may notice every once in a while an arm coming in from the side or some sort of polygon coming in from the side that basically just disappears as you get out towards the 16:9 aspect ratio. But that was basically the only issue I had my entirety of the playthrough for capture for OpenPete, outside of the fact that I intentionally ran out of lives trying to make a jump that is near impossible, and from there I got the moon basically in the sky for that game over cutscene, but it ended up basically getting hung. I go ahead and quit the program, relaunched it, loaded up my save, and everything was totally fine. But if you do encounter that, just be aware that that can happen. But you'll see here right now the level of detail is lower than the initial level I was showing you in the video, and that is because if you hit escape, there's going to be an entire options menu, and I kind of wanted to go back and forth from quote-unquote the original PlayStation presentation, even if obviously at 16:9 and 100 frames per second it's well beyond that, but kind of give you guys a better idea of what the draw distance can be, because there is an options menu that's going to allow you to really articulate exactly the Spyro experience you want, and there is a text file in the downloads as well where you can basically change all the options before you even get into the game. I definitely recommend using the options menu because you can see in real time how it actually makes changes to both the graphics and presentation. But honestly, when I ran a preview on this, I was stoked for it to come out in the future, because I still remember back in the day getting Spyro the Dragon and absolutely loving it as far as the game is concerned. And I still definitely think it holds up. I might not say it's as good as Crash Bandicoot 2 or 3, because I always love those games ever so slightly more, but I had all the Crash games on PlayStation 1 when I was a kid, and jumping back in here definitely is a lot of fun. And I like the fact that you still get the pixelation on the textures. You can also play around with dithering and everything else, including some MSAA that I'll show you in the menus in just a bit. But let's go into the first of two soundtrack samples, because this game had absolutely amazing music, and of course we want really good visuals and no latency in the controls, which we have here, but we also have to have really good audio quality, because that's sometimes even more noticeable. So go ahead and listen, I'll be right back to show you a lot more about the Spyro Recomp. Sounds pretty perfect to me, but you leave me a comment down below and you tell me what you think. Now if you hit the escape key, you'll bring up the settings menu. You'll see here I'm running at window just so it doesn't end up in ultra wide the entire time. But you can play around with the aspect ratio, you can play around with free camera, dithering, the level of detail, everything else you could possibly want. And that really is fun, especially the free camera helps me get some actual thumbnail screenshots, because sometimes in games it's really hard to actually find a good angle that I think presents well in the actual kind of thumbnail for the YouTube video. But it's really fun just to kind of blitz around the world here and see how everything's working. And you'll see here that castle in the background, not much detail. If we go to level of detail extended, now suddenly that is going to be drawing in completely. That's totally a subjective option as to whether or not you want the original PlayStation 1 vibe or you want the enhanced vibe. And for me personally, I kind of actually like enhanced on this one. Usually I'm more of an original vibe person, but this one definitely gives you a lot more to look at, a lot more to see and do. And you can even make sure that the textures and polygons don't wobble, or you can actually turn that back on if you want kind of that more wiggly jello like PlayStation 1 appearance. And that really is the nice thing, at least at launch, of OpenPete. It gives you a decent amount of options. It is going to be moddable in the future, but right now the only build available is going to be Windows. Linux and everything else are listed as coming soon, but obviously something like Steam Deck or even Steam Machine, most of those Proton packs, something there is probably going to launch this game. So if you have played around with Linux, leave a comment down below, because I know full well people are going to ask me if it works, and I am just a very busy video game esoterica today. Gotta run to Home Depot and buy some sandbags because we have some more torrential rain coming, so I basically didn't have time to pop into Linux and test this build and try to get it working to check. Because trust me, the weather in Chicago right now, it's like a tornado warning every single week and a flood warning like every 72 hours, and it's all I can do to keep the outside world out of my basement right now. But that's definitely an aside to Spyro, just saying, if it worked on Linux for you, do say down below so people will be able to understand better. But again, I love these static recomps, and it's fun that we're getting more PlayStation 1 recomps than of themselves, because we have a metric crap ton of decompilation-based source ports as well as static recomps on the N64 side of things, but it's really fun to get some PlayStation coming into the mix as well. Now moving back to a different level with the level of detail slightly lowered, I just like how you can kind of articulate the image in Spyro however you want and kind of make it your own. Now, the number one thing about Spyro is you want fast controls, you don't want any latency, you want it to be set up exactly how you would want to play it if you're playing on a CRT television and a PlayStation 1. The good thing is here, all the controls are responsive. If you fall down into the ravine like that, that's because you hit the wrong button at the wrong time. Because it probably has been about 5 years or so since I actually played Spyro from start to finish, and definitely something I'm going to be doing again now that this static recomp is out into the world. But one of those things that I just really love about the entire modding and kind of now recomp, decomp, and PC port scene is just how much fun they can bring back to the table. Because I will say, even though playing Spyro on an original PlayStation 1 on a CRT is a fun time, it definitely feels a little bit slow these days, and now your nostalgia for this game will be matched with your memory of how well it ran or didn't run. But one more soundtrack sample, and I'll be right back.
Spyro, did you see a man dressed in blue running around here? He's a thief, and he's stolen a dragon egg. You've got to track him down and get that egg. Run! Run! I'm getting a little winded.
I love all the voice acting in Spyro. It really is a fun vibe, and again, as we kind of just fly around the environment here, this is just such a great project. It brings a really fun PlayStation 1 game, maybe top 50 of all time in my opinion, to PC in a modern environment, and I'm sure we're going to see a metric crap ton of mods moving forward, because that is the thing about static recomps and source ports. They allow you to get in and maybe do things that were a little harder if you're just trying to actually change around the disk image when you're playing around with stuff. So if you want to play this one today, the link is in the description below. You'll have to bring your legally owned copy of Spyro the Dragon along for the party, but setup is basically dragging the file on top of the OpenPete window, and everything else will be done for you. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video, but I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.